You're listening
You're listening
to another episode
of the Fresh Takes
podcast.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Testing Tim's Knowledge. You guys loved it last time when I did testing my co-host and to see how well I can know my co-host. So in today's video, we're doing it again. And as you can see by the title, it is football edition. From what my editor told me, it is quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, tight ends, and offensive linemen. And if this goes well and you guys do enjoy this, next episode we'll go to the defensive side where it'll be linemen, linebackers, safeties, corners, and I'm going to throw in kickers and punters then as well too, because I'm not going to do an episode of just kickers and punters. So, if you guys don't remember how this works last time, Tank and Pat sent in their submissions. Both of them, 3 of their favorite people or thing because of the last one. So I have to try and guess what my co-host's favorite ones are. So without further ado, we're going to jump right into it. And I think he told me that it does go in order where it's quarterback, running back, receiver, tight end, lineman. So, first up. Well, okay, so I'm going to say Flacco is Tank because of the Ravens. I'm going to say Nick Foles is Pat because of the Eagles. There's only 5. So what he told me is if there's 5, that means that there is a tie. Like both of them submitted the same person. So I'm pretty sure they're both Michael Vick because I want to say they both were Michael Vick fans. And I want to say that Tank would not pick Big Ben since his second favorite team is the Ravens. And pretty sure in the last video I got it wrong that Pat's second favorite team is the Chiefs. So that would make sense for Mahomes. But it makes sense that Pat is Big Ben. So Tank could be Mahomes. But I never hear him talk about Mahomes. I feel like the only ever time I hear him talk about Mahomes is when he's like crap talking Mahomes. But I know that this is Tank and this is Pat. And I swear that they both said that they really like Michael Vick. Because when we did our NFC South all time, they both said about how they really enjoyed Michael Vick. And Tank would definitely not pick Big Ben. Okay, so this is what I'm doing. Pat, Tank, Pat, both. Yeah. All right, starting out strong, 5 for 5. Well, 6 for 6. So Pat, Tank, Pat, both. All right, so, and of course, they chose the same again. Okay, so we got Jerome Bettis, Marshawn Lynch, which I want to say that that's the both, because Pat had a Marshawn Lynch jersey, and Tank's in the video, one of his alternate favorite teams was Seattle. So I feel like that's got to be the both. I'm thinking Jerome Bettis. I know that I chose Big Ben last time for Pat because of Steelers, but I do know that Tank is a Jerome Bettis fan because when we were doing the AFC North all time, I texted him asking who his first round pick was going to be, and he told me that it would be Jerome Bettis because he loved Jerome Bettis. So then, not number 3, Jamal Charles, who is in the middle, that's Jamal Charles. That's Pat, because Pat told me after the video that went out 2 weeks ago that he loved the Chiefs during the Dwayne Bowe, Jamal Charles, Alex Smith era. So we got Tank, both Pat, and now it's between LT and I want to say that's Clinton Portis. See, this is where it's hard. Because I want to say that LT is Pat, because if Pat likes Jamal Charles, he's got to like LT. Because they kind of are like the same person. But I feel like anybody in the NFC East, Tank just absolutely despises. But in our NFC East all time, he did pick Clinton Portis. All right, I'm going to say Tank, both, Pat, Tank. Yeah. So far, 10 for 10, 12 for 12, I guess, because it's the both. So, receivers. Okay. Now, this is going to be hard. I have never once heard either of them talk about Reggie Wayne. Tank is Randy Moss. I know that. Pat is Anquan Bolden because of our AFC North all time when we talked about him in the Ravens. So I know that this is Tank and this is Pat. I have never heard either one of them say that they love Jerry Rice, although that definitely seems like a Tank submission. And then these two, I have never heard of between either of them. But since Tank didn't know Santana Moss and said Santana Holmes, I'm going to assume that this is Pat. So I'm thinking we got an L. I'm thinking this is Tank, Pat. Because Pat seems like a really big Larry Fitzgerald fan. Reggie Wayne's the one who just throws it out there for me. I don't know who Reggie Wayne would be. I want to say it's an L because I don't think he would have lined them up like this to be one person's. So I want to say that it's an L, and this is Tank, Pat. Really, Caleb? So he did put them straight down. Pat, how come you never have once spoke about Reggie Wayne? And then you're going to put Reggie Wayne in there. Come on. All right. Once again, it's a tie. There's a same submission. I feel like the same submission's got to be Tony Gonzalez. Was Tony? I don't think Tony was part of that Chiefs era that Pat said he liked, though. All right, so we got Vernon Davis, Chris Cooley, Jason Witten, which is definitely Tank, Antonio Gates, and Tony Gonzalez. I know that Tank said he loves Antonio Gates. So I know that these two are Tank. I feel like Pat would be the weird one who says Chris Cooley. And I know that Pat loves Vernon Davis. So these two are Pat. These two are Tank. I feel like this is both. But I feel like one of them could have done this. But who would have? I don't think Pat would have chose Jason Witten. Pat could have chose Gates. I mean, it would make sense because of LT. Because maybe he loved the LT, Antonio Gates, Phillip Rivers era. When the three of them basically were that whole team. But it just makes sense that they both would pick Tony Gonzalez. See, this is hard. I don't know. Because like I said, I feel like Pat could pick Gates, but I feel like they both would say Tony. All right. I'm going to say that Tony is the both, but there could be a very big lean towards Gates being both because I know that that Tank is definitely this one. So these two are Pat. These two are Tank. I don't know about Tony. So I'm going to say Tony's both. Gates was both. And I feel like the reason it was both is because, like I said, the LT Gates, Phillip Rivers area. Maybe that's when Pat really liked them. So, all right. One more round. We got the offensive lineman. Who the heck is Alan Faneca? Fanica. I'm glad that Caleb lists Jonathan Ogden and Jeff Saturday. Like, I wouldn't know who they are. This is the legendary Chris Snee. And this is Jason Kelsey. So, right away, I know that Larry Allen is Tank Cowboys. I know right away Jason Kelsey, Pat Eagles. Who, though, out of them would pick Chris Snee? That sounds like a Pat thing. And once again, Alan Faneca definitely seems like it is a Pat because of the Steelers. And I know that Tank is not a big fan of the Steelers. So it would make sense, again, that we would have another L. And then Jeff Saturday, Jonathan Ogden for Tank, who is also a Ravens fan, and Larry Allen. I don't know why Tank would be Jeff Saturday, though. But I feel like this three has to be Pat, because I know for a fact Pat is Jason Kelsey. And this, I definitely feel like would be a Pat submission. And I feel like Chris Snee would be Pat, too. Also, I don't like this picture of Larry Allen. He's kind of like disturbing me. But yeah, we're gonna say Saturday Ogden and Larry Allen is Tank, and Faneca, Kelsey, and Snee is Pat. No, Tank picked Chris Snee. Jonathan Ogden is Pat. Wow. All right. Well, that's the end. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, there you are. That is how well do I know my co-host's favorite offensive players. If you guys did enjoy this video, remember, if in 2 weeks we will do the defensive side. Remember, you can go ahead and find us every Tuesday and now every Wednesday at the Fresh Takes podcast on YouTube and Spotify and Apple Pod. We put out too long of videos, so that we are now uploading them every Tuesday and Wednesday. Remember, on Friday, you have Tank's Thoughts. This latest episode was the top 10 hot dog toppings, which two handsome gentlemen make an appearance once again in that video. But remember, you can follow us on X, formerly known as Twitter. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and I said it earlier, but I'll say it again, on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe, like, and comment your favorite offensive players. It could be your favorite quarterback. It could be your favorite tight end. It could be your favorite offensive lineman, running back. It could even be your favorite fullback. But I hope you guys did enjoy. And remember, I will be here not next Sunday, but the Sunday after that for the defensive side of things. All right, I'll see you guys Tuesday. Peace.